There we go. Go live. Facebook made it. Now what?
Says we're live.
We are. Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Dreaming Big with J Squared. If you notice, we have a very special guest with us tonight. And it is Miss Heidi Whitehair, CEO of Innov8tive Nutrition. And I'm Jeannie Solston, and I'm here with Julie Getner. We're here every Thursday night talking about dreaming big. And before I get to Heidi, well, first of all, I do have one thing because, it is Heidi's birthday. She was nice enough to join us on her birthday. So if you're watching somewhere, give a comment and give her a happy birthday. She deserves it. You're welcome. So on this, we talk about dreaming big. We've talked about in the past about making our dreaming big, making our list, believing in our dreams. That's one of the things we talked about. We talked about our why we have our dreams, what's holding you back from achieving your dreams. We also talked about mindset. That was a big topic that Julie and I think we did too, didn't we, on that one, basically, on your mindset of how you can achieve that. So kind of with that in mind, Heidi, we would love for you to kind of just share your story about how you got started in network marketing and, maybe kind of touch on some of those points of how you overcame, how did you make your dreams come true?
Okay, well, this is kind of one of my favorite things to talk about, just because I feel like I'm a good example of what's possible. And certainly my background did not suggest that I would ever be successful in something like this. But almost 26 years ago, I had a sick baby and was looking for a way to help him get healthy, and found a supplement company that had a vitamin that the person that it was an eavesdropping situation. I was being nosy, and she was talking about keeping her daughters healthy during the back to school season. They were, I think, 4 and 6, if I remember correctly. Or 3 and 5, something along those lines. And they weren't getting the colds and flus that every kid does when they go back to school. And I thought, well, maybe this is what I've been looking for. And with Kyle, he was born 5 weeks early, had asthma from being in the NICU, all of the stuff, right? And I thought, well, maybe this is what I've been looking for. I didn't know anything about supplements. I took Centrum from the grocery store. I was fat, tired all the time. Quite honestly, I ended up going on to lose 69 pounds with that product line. So I didn't really know anything about other than what this girl was saying. So I invited her to my house, and she told me about this product line and told me there was a 30-day money back guarantee. And I thought, maybe this is it. Maybe this is what, I've been praying for, thinking about, dreaming about. Didn't know anyone else to talk to about this. And so I tried the product, and it was such a life changer. It's funny because my husband was super, super skeptical, and he's like, yeah, you go ahead and take that snake oil. I'm not interested. And I said, 30-day money back guarantee, just let me try. And you guys, inside of like 5-6 days, Ken and I both, he started sneaking into my products, but we felt so different. And my son, I was nursing him at the time. So he wasn't taking the products directly, but he was taking them through me. And we started noticing a difference. He wasn't having asthma attacks like he was. And we just saw little things every single day changing about our life. And then I really was interested in the weight loss, obviously. And so I told my sister-in-law about the products, and she's like, you're not losing weight without me. And so she jumped on and bought products too. And Kelly, my sponsor, came to me with cash in her hand. And I said, well, what's that? And she said, well, you referred your sister-in-law. So, we make profit, and I'm sharing my profit with you. And I was doing daycare at that point, and I'd been doing daycare for 10 years, and I wanted out. I loved my daycare kids, but it was super hard on my family, 6 to 6, Monday through Friday. And I thought maybe, business-wise, this is what I've been looking for. I actually told my husband, I think I could sell this, and he laughed at me, which only spurred me on more. But I was able to quit daycare in about 3 months' time and went on to create a 7-figure income with that first company. And then almost 8 years ago, I started Innov8tive. I had a gentleman come to me and say, I want to help you open your own company. And literally kind of after I picked myself up off the floor, because I was shocked that anyone even knew who I was, Innov8tive was born. And, we've progressed and we've evolved over the last almost 8 years. But my passion is really to help people dream big, whether that be products or the business opportunity, but to make them really realize that anything is possible, because if I can do this, anybody can do this.
Who actually helped you dream big? Who was it that inspired you to actually, I mean, that's a big leap if you think about it. Open your own company and do all that, especially with the background that you have coming from daycare. What was it that put that big dream in your head? And then how did you get there? How did you overcome, how did you believe in yourself, I guess is the question.
I have to laugh about that a little bit, because I was raised by a single mom with 5 kids and we didn't have anything. Like, I started working at 13 just to help pay for electric bills and water bills, because half the time we didn't have either. And so I guess the work ethic was there. My mom taught me that. But honestly, I just didn't give up because I didn't want to do anything else. Like, I didn't want to go back to school and try it. I mean, I did that for a little bit before I found out I was going to have a 3rd child. But there wasn't anything else I wanted to do. So I was making a pretty good income, enough to replace the daycare and be able to stay home and raise my own kids. That was a big deal. Like, Julie and I did daycare back then, and daycare's hard. This is not hard compared to that. And so I just put one foot in front of the other. There was lean times, and then there was really good times, obviously, but I just never quit, because there was never anything else I wanted to do. And as that check grew, it was funny, because every check that grew even a little bit, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I made it, not realizing it was going to get a whole heck of a lot bigger. And it did. And, the things that you can do, people get so caught up about money, right? They're like, oh, money this and money that. You don't talk about money and all that. Well, money makes the world go round. And not only have we been able to provide a lifestyle for our family, but for other people's, like, we've been able to pay it forward and really make an impact on the people around us. And for me, that's a big driver. It's kind of my passion. I've watched moms be able to stay home with their kids, quit their 2 of their 3 jobs, go on vacations for the first time. And on the flip side, get healthy, be able to, not be in pain all day long, or be able to lose the weight they, have been trying to lose for the last 10 years, or fill in the blank. Like, there's just so many things.
Yeah.
So, Heidi.
Hey,
shameless plug. So you wrote this book.
I did.
When You Believe Anything is Possible. You wrote this. I'm going to ask you a few different questions about this book, but
okay.
What was your primary reason for writing this book? What inspired you?
2 things. One was to leave that information for my kids and my grandkids. I wanted them to read my story. And to be able to feed kids that don't have anyone to feed them. Like, I should have been one of those kids really growing up, but my mom never took help. She never, the free lunch at school and all that kind of stuff. My mom was not a believer in any handouts. And so I was that kid that we got hand-me-downs for Christmas and all that. Not to say that's bad. I'm glad I had the life that I had, right. But this all proceeds go to feeding kids and helping moms out that maybe just need, get caught up on their rent, or, get caught up on their car payments, or need a car. Like, right. Ken and I have been able to do things for a lot of people that, I think if you can do even small things, everyone should pitch in and do something.
Right. And Heidi, these are still, sorry, Julie, are these still available on HeidiWhitehair.com?
They are. Yep. Okay. Yep. And I assign them and send them out myself. And the reason I do that and don't put it on Amazon, I've been asked this question a bazillion times, is because Amazon takes some of the profit, and I don't take any of the profit. In fact, I pay the money to ship it and all that good stuff. And I paid to produce it to begin with, right? So, but I take all of the money and I pay it forward to feeding kids. It might be that I pay for book clubs at an elementary school or buy new coats. I bought bikes for a village in Africa. Like there's lots of different things that I've done over the years.
Yep.
That's awesome.
So in your book, it almost chronicles your life. Like you said, you left it so for your kids so that they have basically a history of you.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about, or tell us a little bit about one chapter that sticks out to me in here is the whole, and Jeannie and I talked about this, and I think in our very first episode, was people don't dream anymore.
Yeah.
And you hit that hard in this book about, the dreams weren't a thing when you were growing up. They weren't a thing when I was growing up, when Jeannie was growing up in our families either. So talk a little bit about that and why you feel that instilling that in your own kids, your grandkids, is going to help to shape their futures. So a little bit back from when you were growing up, and then now why you think it's so much more, why you want to make sure that your kids and grandkids know that.
Yeah. And to have that in their lives, because my mom was adopted. My grandmother was a traveling nurse. So she was always kind of farmed out to other people's families. So she didn't have a whole lot of stability in her life growing up. So we didn't talk about going to college. That wasn't even a thing. And I actually dropped out of high school at 17 to help even more than I had been doing before. Well, trying to work in a restaurant bar at night and then get up at 6 a.m. to go to school just didn't really jive too well. But we didn't talk about dreams. There was never that thing. I mean, to be brutally honest, we would sometimes pack up our house and leave in the middle of the night to avoid creditors. So that was my life. But I don't think that any of us are given this life to just get by. I don't think any of us are given, a heart and a brain and a strong will, because obviously I'm strong-willed, to do something in their life, and that any of us should waste it. And why would let's just say why could I achieve a 7-figure income and somebody else couldn't? Like, I just think everyone's equipped to do that. It's just a matter of how bad do you want it? We can all do it. And if we don't start with dreaming big, and I think that because for a long time, and you know this because you both were there, but for a long time, I just made enough to get by. I was happy with that because I could pay the bills. There was times during my network marketing career that I was barely making the bills, but Ken, my husband, I'd say, should I go back to work? Should I do something different? And he would say, no, that you believe in this product. You believe in this industry. You need to keep doing this. And I think being the example was important to me, because if I don't believe in myself and show you guys that you can do it, how are you guys going to believe in yourself? So I don't know why I made myself that self-appointed dream builder. I don't know why. I just did. I don't know.
Well, and it's funny that you say that, because I think one of our first one that we did was we had people write down their dreams and then go back and ask yourself, do I actually believe I can do this? 'Cause it's easy to say it. It's easy to say, oh, I want to make $1 million. Yeah, great. But do I actually believe that? And I think most people don't. They can write it down, they say it, but I think internally, and I know that I didn't for a long time. I wrote it all down, but when I really was honest with myself and looked at it, I didn't actually believe I could do it. And I think that's part of what I know you taught me in the last 25 years, and how do you teach someone that? I mean, how do you help somebody understand that anything is possible when they don't think that?
I don't know that I ever said to myself, and I mean, again, you guys were there, so maybe I probably said at some point, I can make $1 million. If someone else can do it, I could do it. I probably said something along those lines, but I never set out in network marketing ever to make $115,000 in a month. I never said that to myself. Did I know it was possible? No, I didn't know anyone else that did it. In fact, I did it long before I ever met another human being that was a 7-figure income earner in network marketing. So, and when I did, I was like, oh my gosh, I landed on the planet of people that do what I do. Like I was like, there really are people that do this. Like, I don't know if I thought it was an accident. I don't know, but why not? And if you're going to do it anyways, it's like when I get up in the morning and I'm working out. If I'm going to work out and I'm going to do it halfway, I was going to say the other word, halfway, and just kind of do it and go through the motions and, my 30 minutes is up and whatever. No, I'm going to sweat. I'm going to make it the most I possibly can.
Yeah.
If I'm spending the time, why would I not want to reap the benefits? And for me, I think so many people, and this is probably not going to be a popular thing to say. I think so many people want something for nothing. And even when you say, hey, if you work hard, your check could be 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90,000 a month and more. They still want, oh, but what else are you going to give me? Your check is what I'm going to give you. Like you earn this check. And I remember having the goal of 100,000 because it started like growing. It was 28 and 33 and 35 and 38 and 43 and 40. I mean, you remember that, right? And it just was blowing up, and Julie's was blowing up too. And we were like, it would be overnighted to us, and Ken would open up the envelope and he'd walk down the hall to my office and he'd be like, what? Like, how does this happen? So as that grew,
What I found.
Oh my gosh, your old checks. Look at that. As it grew, I was like, well, if it could be this, it could be more. Right. So for me, and I remember saying to the owner of my first company, I said, I want $100,000 check. And this one particular month, his wife called me and said, do you want to borrow $1,000? And I was like, what? And she goes, do you want to borrow $1,000? I said, what do you mean? And she goes, your check was 99,000. And I was mad. And I was mad about that. Now, I wasn't mad it was 99,000. I was mad I didn't hit 100,000. So I worked harder to make sure that it did hit 100,000. But that's what drove me, was that I was putting in the time. I might as well get the most benefit for my family that I could.
Yeah.
So, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but what are some of the accomplishments that you've had over the course of your network marketing career? What are some things that you have achieved that wouldn't have been possible without having this career?
Well, first off, my friends, like the people, our field, like our tribe, that is like one of the biggest things that we've accomplished. Get emotional. It's my birthday. I can get emotional. Anyway, so there's that part of it, because I obviously have a pretty crazy family. So, my tribe is my family. So in that respect, I feel like the relationships that I've built in my life, I was thinking about this earlier today too, because it's my birthday and people are calling and texting and stuff. You realize how many people you've impacted. So I think that's a big deal. But Ken and I, my husband and I have been married 32 years this year, and we built a beautiful vacation home. Right now, we just bought a couple of years ago, 60 acres of property in Montana. We're building a compound for our children. One year we took our kids on and these are all like just stuff for my family. I feel like I should talk more about things for other people, but we took our kids on a scavenger hunt. And at the end of the scavenger hunt was 3 brand new cars. And our youngest was 15 and a half, just with his driver's permit. So I had to drive his car home, paying for weddings and paying for college and buying my husband a Corvette for his 50th birthday. And I mean, there's
the
time freedom is probably, raising your own kids is a big darn deal. And
it is a big damn deal.
And now my grandkids, like I have 2 grandsons that today I was with them, 2 and 4. And what's better than you walk into their house and they sing to you happy birthday and they've got presents for you, and Grandma, they couldn't wait for my birthday.
Could you imagine if you're still doing daycare and trying to do all that?
No. Well, and honestly, my husband, for a lot of years, he worked, every overtime shift, everything he could do to, provide a future for us. And that's why when I quit daycare, I wanted to replace that so that I was still, contributing. But when it really started taking off and I was able to do all the great stuff, and he's so super proud, because when we were building the vacation house, we'd have people come to do work on the house, and they'd go, "And you are a firefighter?" They'd look at Ken like, "You can afford this on," and he'd be like, "Nope, it's all my wife. It's all my wife." So, I mean, there's so many things, but yes, the time freedom is huge. Financial freedom to not worry about what's around the corner. Like, because stuff happens in your life to all of us. Yep. And, if my kids need something, Ken and I have taken amazing vacations. We've taken friends on amazing vacations.
I'm waiting.
No, she's waiting for the amazing vacation. But I do want to, Jeannie's waiting for an amazing. Hey, you've both been to my vacation house. Can I make a plug on this for something with this? There's two parts of this book that I think I'm most proud of, or I don't know if it's most proud of, but I think is very different in any book that you have ever read before. And there's letters from people in my life, like these guys, that watched this whole crazy life of mine, that wrote letters about what it was like to be in that time and watching that whole thing. But then my children as well, being raised by a mom in network marketing. My oldest daughter said, "My friends never knew what you did. They just knew you were always home," which wasn't always good when we were teenagers, because we couldn't get away with anything. And then my husband got the final word of the book, because he's, my biggest cheerleader. He's always, I would come up with some crazy ideas, you guys, like, let's have a convention and spend $100,000 of our own money. And he'd be like, "Okay." Like, anything I wanted to do, he would just go, "Okay." And he would help me make it happen. Yeah. So, he's, sounds goofy, but he's definitely my rock and the wind beneath my wings when it comes to network marketing, because he's never, I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he's ever told me no on any of my crazy ideas.
I think he's scared.
No. Yeah.
Well, rightly so.
Ken knows better.
Rightly so. He should be. Healthy fear.
Well, I want to remind everyone too, these are available at HeidiWhitehair.com, and she will sign them and send them out to you. It's fun for us, Julie and I, to read this because we lived it with you, but it's a good story. It's a good story, even if you don't know Heidi. It's not just about network marketing. It's about her life and how she went from one point to where she is now. And it's awesome. So you guys, if you don't have it, go grab one. And plus you're feeding kids and helping people, which is super exciting. Okay. Last question from you, Julie, and then I'll ask one, and I think we're done.
Okay. So you just talked about all of your accomplishments. I'm sure there was a few struggles in there.
Lots of struggles.
So without, you don't need to go into a lot of details or anything, but just if there's any struggles that you feel, you want to share. And you touched earlier on just not giving up. That's just not an option. Mm-hmm. So, I've watched you, Jeannie's watched you overcome a lot over the years. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing, is you never gave up. You pushed through every single thing that was thrown at you. Yeah. But, talk a little bit about adversity, and you don't even need to share what those were necessarily, but what were some of those, if you want, and then what that did to you? Like, did it cripple you? Did it make you stronger?
Well, there's lots of tears, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. It's funny you say that, because this book actually took 5 years for me to write, and it took that long because I never wanted it to be flavored with the obstacles or the adversities, because I wanted it to be positive, and I wanted everyone that read it to know that anything is possible. when you believe in yourself or you believe in the industry, find a good company that's got your back. Anything truly, truly, truly is possible. But yes, there's been so many things over the years. And, a lot of times I see people getting in their own way. It's their obstacles here in their head. For me, people have been the biggest obstacle. I hate to say that. People have been the biggest obstacle because you get people that want what you have, but they don't want to work for it.
Yeah.
So the jealousy kind of rears its ugly head. And I think everybody has stuff, right? You have families drama, friend drama, other people that are like jealous drama or, those types of things.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just have normal stuff with raising children. Like my kids were 5 months old, 3 and 10 when I started. And now they're 26, 29, and 36. And, so of course, through teenage years, we had a lot of stuff with our family, that. You guys were there with me during all of those things, but it doesn't give you I don't want to say right, but why would you give up? Like it's no different than when I had a job or daycare. I wouldn't not be able to, I would show up for my daycare parents because I had an issue with one of my kids. Yeah, you might take a day off or whatever on occasion if you need to do something, but you keep going. You don't get to crawl in the corner and cry.
Yeah.
I know some people that do that. That's not an option for me. Right. So you just keep going. You get up, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, put on your big girl pants and move forward. I don't want to misguide anybody that there hasn't been moments when I've contemplated for 5.5 seconds to give up or, wished I was that person that gave up easily, but I'm not. Like my family relies on me. You guys, my tribe relies on me.
Yeah.
Giving up is not an option.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think, especially like you said, Julie, and I've been watching you through this, from the beginning. And I like the fact that you're honest about there were times where you're just like, what am I doing? But you kept going, because I think that's a huge part of this is that people like, okay, they get all excited, they're gung ho. And then that first obstacle comes and they're just like, wait, this is hard. I don't want to do this anymore. I mean, truly,
But everything's hard. I mean, you got to pick your hard. I think going to a job every day, commuting on a freeway, being someone else's employee, making what they want you to make, taking vacations when they want you to, all of that, that's hard to me. I am unemployable. I would suck as an employee because I would say, no, I'm not coming in today. I'm going to go be with my grandkids. Like I get to pick what I do with my time.
Right.
And for me, I get that and I get to make what my time is worth. Like, why would you not dive in with both feet and give it everything you've got? Because even if you give it everything you got and you make $10,000 a month, freaking awesome.
Right.
But the possibilities, to make 20, 30, 40, like I said, I mean, my checks, I remember my first big check was $9,137. And I called the owner of the company and I said, my check was $9,137. And he said, oh my gosh, this is just the beginning. And I'm like,
what?
It gets bigger? And the next month it was $17,300. And I was mind blown. But it was just momentum. And once momentum hits, man, it's like rocket.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to plug a little bit. Innov8tive is right now we have our promoterships for $29.95, which is amazing. Like that's lower than it's ever been. So if anybody's interested in jumping on this crazy train that we are on, that we absolutely love, please reach out to one of us and we're happy to get you started. Is there what would you say? And I kind of already know the answer, but because you've said it to me many times, but tell everyone else, what do you say to people who want to do something and they don't believe in themselves? Like what is your words of wisdom?
Well, especially with Innov8tive, I think the very first thing I would say is why wouldn't for $29.95 you can start your own business and then you get to decide. There's no you have to's. Build your story through health and wellness. What is it you want to do with yourself? and literally just start putting one foot in front of the other. Let's start with, okay, you want to lose weight. Here's the products I suggest. Be all in your results, meaning committed to what you want to do, and then it will naturally grow. Now, some people decide, I'm happy there. I'm happy with just saving a little and using products. Right. We love you where you're at. Yeah. But if you want to make an extra 1,000 a month, 5,000 a month, 10,000 a month, we're also going to match your efforts there. But where else can you find a business that you can start for $29.95? There's no major investment unless you choose to buy inventory. And you literally have someone that says, come on, we're going to do this together. Yep. And literally hold your hand every step of the way, because I'm as invested in her results and her success as she is. Yeah. So where else does that happen? It certainly doesn't happen in corporate America. No.
And the great thing about it too, like Julie and Heidi both do this full time. I have a full-time job, and I do this around however that works. I have a job that I go to every day. And I do this around that. And I've done that for the last 25 years. So it does fit into your life, however you need it to fit into your life. And that's, I think, the best thing, because maybe somebody, can't quit their job right now, and
or doesn't want to,
you know,
maybe they love their job, and that's completely fine. Do this around your job for maybe you do it for fun money or the family vacation or becoming debt free. Like there's a lot of people that love what they do, and we're totally good with that. We work with whatever you want to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. We are at time. Julie, do you have any last question? Are we good?
No, I think we're good.
We just want to remind everybody it's Heidi's birthday.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. And you guys go to HeidiWhitehair.com, get your book. It's well worth it. It's worth the read. It's worth the money. And Heidi, thank you so much for being on with us. And I love you, and happy birthday.
Thank you. I love you too. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye, guys.